Hello, everyone. Welcome you all to the Rubber Industry Connect. In this program, we're going to have a conversation with eminent rubber industry professional. And today our guest is Mr. Arun Kapoor. He is well respected, well experienced, worked in the rubber industry more than 55, probably close to 60 years in the rubber industry. So a lot of experience and people respect him a lot. So it's a pleasure to have him, as part of the Rubber Industry Connect program. As I said, it is a conversation. So we'll be touching all aspects of his professional life and also challenges he experienced and also his achievements over the 50 plus years in the rubber industry. And also we take some advice from him for the younger generations, our industry, what else could we do better. So this is the object of today's session on the Rubber Industry Connect program, conversation with eminent rubber industry professional. And our guest today is Mr. Arun Kapoor. Arun Kapoor, sir, thank you very much for being part of this program today.
Thank you, Param, very much for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share my experiences with the younger generation. I would love to do that.
Fantastic. Well, when I look at your profile, close to 60 years, man, how did you manage it? 60 years, you're still working, still energetic, right? So
that's right.
Yeah. So you're keeping yourself very active, right?
Yeah. I learned sometimes in my life, I don't know when, the difference between pleasure and hard work. So I realized when you are bored, it's hard work. When enjoying is pleasure. When you go on a holiday, you do a lot of hard work. You load your baggage, and you're waking up in the morning, and but you are enjoying it. So I decided not to do any work which I don't enjoy, and that keeps me going. I am enjoying what I am doing. If I don't enjoy, I will not do it.
Fantastic. I think that is a way to follow. Everybody should follow that so that you keep yourself. Your work is, if you enjoy the work, I think you can do wonders, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can. Then you are not tired.
True. Pretty much true. Yeah. Well said, sir. Well said. Okay, what my plan of conversation today is, I'm going back to your education, before you get into the rubber industry. I understand that you started, 1962, somewhere that time, right? Can you talk about your education first? Yeah.
Yeah, let me give you a little background. My family, we were in Pakistan before partition, and my parents migrated, and we came as paupers, absolute paupers. Luckily, my parents were highly educated. My father was a technocrat, and my mother was the first graduate of Punjab University in her times, lady graduate. And both of them found jobs here because of their education. So that is the time our whole family realized education was very, very important. Whatever may happen, under any circumstances, children must be given good education. So my parents, they scraped, and every penny they put into our education. And I remember my mother never made any jewelry because she found that our children are her jewels, and she put all her efforts. So my father was working in ICI at that time, Imperial Chemical Industries, and he went to England on some official work. On way back, he visited Germany and saw a reclaim plant. He came to India and told his brothers, look, this is something new. We should try to go into this business. So they had no money, but government help. They took a plant in Sonipat and put up a miniature plant there. and started reclaim rubber manufacture. Then my father quit the job and put in whole time. That was the time I was doing BSc from Punjab University, and as soon as I graduated, so my father thought that although we had put up a reclaim plant, but we did not know how to make reclaim. So we had a lot of support from people like Dunlop, Exide, and other companies, because that time there was a terrible problem of foreign exchange, and they wanted to replace every imports. So my father organized me to go to Bayer Leverkusen, Germany, and I did my rubber technology course there. But before I went there, I went to attend a rubber technology course in ICI, Calcutta. ICI was making rubber chemicals. They had a very good comprehensive course. So I had first initiation from there. And with that background, I went to Germany and I knew what we were doing. So it was a good learning. So that is how I came back and joined in 1963 my father's factory and became the kind of a chief chemist in the laboratory. I set up the laboratory and we made the right type of reclaim. In the meanwhile, we could get a second-hand plant of reclaim rubber from Firestone. Because in those days, reclaim was made only by tire companies themselves. So Firestone was closed, so they sold off their plant at a very low rate. We bought it, and that is how I started my career.
So this is your first, the rubber reclaim plant is the first plant in India?
That was the first plant in India.
Oh,
and my father had the history of innovation. Whatever he did after that was first time in India. And I followed his footsteps. So before reclaim rubber, we started making factories first time in India. And we got the technology formulations from again from Germany. It so happened after the World War, Americans went to Germany and took away all the formulations and the industrial things and published them. And out of that, we found one book which said about factories, brown factories and white factories. So we started making that first time in India. Then we went into reclaim rubber and we carried on. We did very well. After that, we put up a much bigger plant, Rubber Reclaim Company of India, which was very famous. Even today, people remember that. And I am today known in rubber industry as man who was running Rubber Reclaim Company of India, RRCI. That was a much bigger plant. Later on, as usual, it happens. Our family divided, brothers divided. So factories went to my uncle in Bombay, Rishurup Chemical Company. They started in Nasik. They are still doing it. A rubber reclaim company went to another uncle. And in the meanwhile, I had innovated entirely new product, rice rubber rolls. First time in the world made from nitrile rubber. Rubber rolls have very high temperature for dehusking of rice, and natural rubber cannot stand that. And the problem is they want white, they don't want black rolls. They make rice black. So silica is the only filler. In those days, there was no technology like silent coupling agent and all that. So there was no way of dispersing silica in natural rubber. So I found out that nitrile rubber was polar and so was silica. So I tried experiments, but I could not get hardness. Then because of my experience in Germany, I went to Germany 3 times on different education. I'll come to you later on. There I found out that this activated phenolic resin added to hardness. So by adding that, I could obtain the required hardness. And today, I am happy to say that entire world is using my formula. That was published by JSR Japan in their book. And today, not only China, Taiwan, India, everybody in the world is using exactly the same formula. They have made no change in that. Minor change, yeah. So like that, so that thing came to me from my father to do innovation, and I will talk on that to my friends how it is done and why it is done. I was fortunate to have been taught by Dr. Werner Hoffmann, who was a famous scientist and who was our director in Germany. I was very young, I was just 21. He took fancy to me, and he taught me how research is done.
Okay.
He opened his secret library to me and showed me. In those days we had no internet, so they had made libraries, they had made those brochures. So there were girls and boys who were collecting data from all over the world, all the magazines, and they were piled up, compiled in different headings.
Yeah.
So that is how he told me how to collect information, how to sieve information, and a lot of other things. For example, then I learned rubber lining also. Third time I went. That was a very big thing for us, because we did huge work in Saudi Arabia. They had to put up a desalination plant in which the pipeline had to be laid to carry seawater, and seawater is very corrosive, and they wanted somebody to do that. So we had cut off competition from USA, PDM, and some UK companies. But after long interviews, they approved me to do that, and I did it. And we did the entire pipeline. And there was 0% rejection. Entire sheeting I got done from USA, from Blair Rubber Company. Blair Rubber Company was so happy with my work. They offered me consultancy and work there. So the different reason why I didn't go, there was a personal reason, entirely different thing. And that was also innovation. So,
okay, we go in details again on this. You touched about it. It looks like your father is a very enterprising and entrepreneurial and an investor. He send you to the Germany to learn as much as you can, and so this company, the company name is Organochemical Industries. Is it right? Yeah,
that
and
was the starting company.
the starting company. Yeah, and can you talk about your
And
father? What kind of person he is? How is your interaction? Is it demanding for you, or what? How was your? Yeah,
he is no more, but
yeah,
he was a amazing person, very dynamic person. He remained president of Rubber Manufacturers Association throughout his life. Nobody ever replaced him. He was member of Rubber Board, appointed by government for 2 terms, and he led many delegations all over.
yeah.
And he was inspiring people. He was open. He was never secretive, and that was one of his negative points also, because in business you have to be secretive. But he built many people. Lot of people came up. People who have come out of Organo today are all millionaires, and they all remember him. And I have very good relationship with those people. And in my career, we were open to education. Was very important. So
Yeah.
every boy who came to our laboratory, we gave them leave to study rubber technology. They used to go every Saturday to attend PRI classes in Delhi, and we produce so many rubber technologists from organochemical industries who have held very high positions all over. Like we were interviewing Inder Bahal that day. He was also one of the products from organochemical industries. And then Mr. Shadilal Mehra and Mr. Anand and many people. They all, it was like a small university. We the only people who had the rubber laboratory at our level. Other people were Bata and Goodyear in our area. Nobody else had, but nobody had access to that laboratory. But we allowed that everybody can learn, and that
So
cost us little money, but made people.
I think your father helped many businesses grow, and I think influenced many of them, inspire them to be entrepreneurs and do. Wow. And may I know the name of your father?
Yeah, Mr. B.S. Kapoor, Bhimsen Kapoor.
Kudos to, we should remember him forever, all the businesses, and you rightly mentioned about it's like a university. A lot of people, I think Mr. Bal also talked about it in his session, about the practical learning, in the facility. Fantastic. Yeah. So in this company, is this for 22 years or what? How long is, before it become,
yeah, 63 till 85.
Yeah.
It was running full swing, and around 86 or so, something strange happened, which you won't believe if I tell you. A person came into power in Haryana who has just spent 10 years in jail and got another 5 years to go back into jail. And he was son of the chief minister and then became chief minister himself twice. He had one unfortunate habit that he used to eye all industries which were doing well, and he wanted a share. And unfortunately, in our case, my factory being old factory, and Sonipat expanded, and we came within the municipal limits. The land value commercially became very huge, although it was industrial land. So he was eyeing that property. All he did was he came one day with armed people and took over the industry at gunpoint.
Oh.
And I was just thrown out. It's a known thing to everybody. And they had two bus loads of armed police outside to get the labor out. These things are unheard of, but this happens in mafia or whatever you call it. So I was on the road. I lost everything, and I never got a single penny out of it. I don't want. They don't need to go into that more detail, but that is how the industry got closed. So luckily, again, I would call it. It was like second partition for us, like Pakistan, and now I was again on road. And luckily, same thing helped us, the education. I was qualified, I had experience, so I started becoming a consultant, and I started in Bangladesh. We put up a joint venture in Nepal. For 22 years, I'm working with them. Today, they are holding 75-80% market of rubber rolls in Bengal and also selling in India. And they are making consistently going on. And because of that only, I got various opportunities. And then in 93, Phyllis Carbon Black, I knew them, and they contacted me. They wanted me to sell their product because I had one very plus point that I have held rubber industry in a very big way without any personal interest. So they were all obliged to me. Small people, they were becoming big. So they came to me. So I had no difficulty in pushing their product in the market. People wanted to help me. They were all sorry and they were feeling bad about it. So I did very well. For 15 years, I sold their carbon black. But I was not a businessman, let me tell you. So there is a difference between being a businessman and a technocrat. Interesting story. When we finished our rubber technology course in Germany, one of our course director, Herr Cooper, he stood up at dinner and he said, "Before you boys go back home, I want to tell you something. When I wanted to do my education, my father asked me, what you want to do? I said, I want to be a scientist. My father looked at me and told me, you never become a scientist, you hire a scientist."
Yeah.
So that's what happened. There's a difference between a businessman and a scientist. Simple difference is a scientist will see what is truth and correct. He cannot say anything wrong. But businessman has no qualms about saying, you understand what I say.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I go to sell a product. I will tell the customer will say, I am buying at 20 cents. He's buying at 23 cents. He's telling me a lie. As a good salesman, I will say, oh, I got customers for 25 cents. That's a lie.
Yes.
But as a scientist, you cannot do that.
It's in the genes.
Yeah, your mindset is like that.
Right,
So that is a problem. So in my company, Tina Rubber, my chairman has a lot of problem with me. So he keeps telling me, Kapoor Saab, you go and tell people everything straightforward, and that hurts my business. I can make money if you hide things. I said, I cannot hide things. If he asks me a question, I will tell him the truth. And that is the difference. And that is the first thing a scientist has to learn, to be honest and to be truthful. Otherwise, you cannot do anything in science.
Okay, let's go back a little bit on the forced closure by the at the time. How was your father? At the time, how he really wanted to manage?
At that time, it so happened. Fortunately, my father at that time had already migrated to USA. All the brothers were in USA, and he was having bad health. So I sent a message to my brother, younger brother, not to allow father to come back to India. Things are bad here. So my brother hid his passport, and my father was very unhappy, and he lost a lot of weight, and he knew I was alone. I was under pressure. He wanted to help, but we knew he had lived with a lot of dignity, and all that situation he will not be able to face. So anyway, he was a great man. There also, then he decided to do something. He became an environmentalist. He became an advisor to the local government, and the mayor gave him a proper desk and seat, and there he became, and rest of the life he lived there. And later on, much later, when he retired, he came back to India and spent last few years with me. And by that time, we were okay. We were doing well, and he had a good end.
Wow, it's a tough times, and I managed it into the smoother track afterward. Yeah.
Yes,
So
I had very tough times, very difficult times, because another problem was I made another mistake was I challenged that powerful mafia, went to the High Court and took a stay order kind of a thing. So 119 criminal cases were instituted against me.
oh my
119
goodness.
in Haryana,
Oh,
and I had to, every Thursday I had to go to the court and face it. And one day the judge realized it was all humbug, and he used to be very rude to me, but that day when he realized this fellow is a straightforward fellow, and he's being rubbed in the wrong way. So judge took the courage and he called the government lawyer. He says, now onwards, please, there will be no more cases. On every case, I will put a 500 rupees fine and let him pay the whatever little dues are there and get him off. So every week, I used to take whatever money I could collect and get the cases finished. In 1 year, all the cases were finished. That was
how
only
many?
that
How
goodness.
many? How many cases? 119. How many
119,
cases?
yes.
Oh my
And
goodness.
cases were all criminal cases.
Wow. Wow.
That was a
Oh,
political power.
and
And
I'm
that
glad
was
that
very well that
I'm
time.
yeah.
And that is how I could not go to USA. I had that offer from Blair Rubber Company. If you go into the net, you will
Yeah.
see how big the company is. And I
Yeah.
still have the letter of consultancy. I came back and this thing happened, and my wife got paralyzed. In a
Oh,
shock, we had to sell our properties in Delhi to pay off the people because we would not get anything. And with the result, I could not go to USA. I had to take care of her also. So there was not one problem. Problem was no money, criminal cases, and your wife paralyzed. Children are very small. But I carried on. I had no choice.
wow. Wow. I'm really glad that you put a good effort and crossed all the hurdles and moved on. Yeah, I can feel the pain at the time. So.
Yeah, people say that, but if I look back, I just went with the flow. But only thing I did was that I did not. I stuck to one thing. I followed Bhagavad Gita, and I said, whatever may happen, I will not do something wrong. So I stood by my on integrity. I had opportunities where I could do some heraveri, cheat, this and that. For example, in carbon black, there were a lot of black at one time, lot of shortages. I never indulged in that. I could have made a lot of money on that time. My people, dealers, other made, I did not do it. That was not in my character. Anyway, so time has passed. I am in good health. I am 81.
Yeah.
Going
and
on.
you born in Pakistan, is it right?
Yeah, I went to school in Pakistan. I saw the partition. I saw the Holocaust. I saw the house burning. I saw the killings. I saw everything.
Oh.
Looting,
Okay.
everything.
Yeah. Well, if people like me are young, are much younger than you. We only watch these kind of things is in a black and white, at the time, what you call Doordarshan TV at the time. So,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
So
We went through that.
Yeah. So you started the Pacific Rubber. That is your consultancy company, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah, that is then when I lost organo, then I had to do something.
yeah.
So passive rubber I started because of carbon black. Because when Phyllis Carbon came, I say, look, that is the plus point. Why did I get Phyllis Carbon? Phyllis Carbon, if you wanted to get an agency, you needed to put up a lot of money, 20, 30 lakhs of rupees down as I had no money. I got it only because of my reputation, my goodwill, and my integrity. They knew that this man will never, because company did not want somebody who will indulge in black marketing. Carbon black was in short supply those days, and plus they wanted somebody who could push their product. So they made a search in the market, surveyed, and they knew this was one guy who was respected in the market. And my customers, my rubber industry people were obliged to my father and to me. They wanted to see me back on my feet. It was a collective effort on part of rubber industry in northern India. They supported me wholeheartedly. And that is how I got business. And I was the largest seller of carbon black in due course of time in India.
Yeah.
The reason
So
was
you're still running that consultancy, the Pacific Rubber, right?
no,
Yeah.
that was after that stage came when there was a division in these people in Goenkas, the brothers and all divided.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a stage. Again, I lost that business completely. Again, I was not a businessman. If I had been a clever businessman, I would not have lost anything. So I was simple. I didn't indulge in any of those politics. But it doesn't matter. It went over, and I had a good time. But by the time I was out of all the financial problems, I had no liabilities, nothing. I was free man, and my consultancy was picking up, and I was happy doing that work. I was traveling abroad, doing all those things, getting a lot of respect from industry.
So you went to, as a consultant, you went to some, Bangladesh, I think
Yes.
Nepal,
Again,
Africa, Nigeria, US.
yes.
So can you give some highlights about, okay, let's look into Nigeria. So what was your experience in Nigeria?
Nigeria, my exposure was not very much big because I was invited to put up a factory for this rubber seals for in this, what is that, this uh, someone UN organization where they
UNICEF, yeah? Yeah.
UNICEF, yes, they wanted those. They had some pipelines and they wanted rubber seals and all. So those people contacted me, and we set up a plant there, turnkey project. Nigeria at that time was a very dangerous place, and you had to be very careful going out here and there and to be protected always. And but we had the support of these people. They were powerful there, and we didn't spend much time there. As soon as the plants were put up and the boys were trained, we got out of it. We just got our consultancy, and that was done. But Bangladesh, I spent a lot of time. When 5 years I was going there continuously because they knew nothing. Nigeria, they were much better equipped, those organizations, or UNICEF and all. And here they were absolutely, they knew nothing about rubber industry. And rice, a lot of rice is produced in Bangladesh. So there I had to continuously go, set up the whole plant, educate, run the factory myself and help those people. Every month I used to go.
Yeah, what kind of factory is that? That in Bangladesh? What they produce?
That was rubber rice roll factory.
Rice rolls, okay. And still exists the company? Is inactive?
No, they closed down and somebody else took over and they are running it. Yeah. Old man died. His son migrated to America. There were some family differences. So the one boy who was running the factory, he fought with his father and went to America, and the father closed the factory. They sold it to somebody else.
So somebody took over the operation. It's still running, yeah, still running, but under different management, yeah. So
different management, correct.
Yeah, interesting. And so how about your Blair company? What kind of activities you did with?
That was a very great US experience. Yeah. Because they were making rubber sheets for rubber lining, and the problem was that we had to give them rubber sheets with curing agent, everything ready to be pasted and then cured. Problem was, once you have all the curatives, it's going to scorch. So we had to freeze the rubber sheets in USA, then put them in the cold vans, this what you call, where you carry the frozen vans, then put in the ship. They're also in the cold thing. And in Saudi also, temperature is very high. So we had cold room. So it had to be kept throughout under below certain temperature, very low temperature. That was the first part we had to do. That was the achievement. So that had to be done and we succeeded. Otherwise, once our sheet gets scorched, it cannot be pasted. It cannot be, stuck to the pipe. Second, there were some other issues also. There are a lot of issues, and I solved their problems. And as I told you, it's such a long story. Well, I'll give you one instance. Why they wanted me to advise them? They were doing hard rubber lining. They had a very peculiar problem. Once they did the lining, it had a very strong bond. But as time passed, it became weak. And in 3 or 4 months' time, 6 months' time, or 1 year, it would come off. Rubber lining should last for years. You can't, you put acid or something inside, and you can't. It's a big vessel or something or a pipeline. Even a small hole is there. The whole thing is to be redone. Sure. So they had a lot of problem. So their chief chemist was Goodyear, and they discussed with me. I saw their formulations, and I changed it, and it worked very well. They were very surprised. I explained to them very simple thing. The hard rubber lining has 40% of 40 pH of sulfur, whereas the adhesive they were making, there was having 2.5 pH of sulfur. So as you know, once it is pasted, the sulfur will migrate from a higher level to lower level. So as the percentage of sulfur will go up from 2.5 to 5 pHr, it takes time slowly because 40 pH has a lot of sulfur available to go. And rubber gets into a leather-like stage after 5 pHr to 20 pHr. It has no strength. So as soon as adhesive got that level of 5 pHr and above, it will lose all strength and it will come off. So all I did was I made adhesive with 40 pHr of sulfur. Same adhesive, just add the sulfur. So there was no migration anymore. The bond was excellent. So they were so impressed with that because they were not successful. So that is how they offered me this problem. I solved some other problems also. They were wasting a lot of material, like it was coming out of calendar. And when you come to calendar, it is compressed. it is bound to bounce back, or what you call shrinkage. So when shrinks, either shrink according to width or in the thickness. In this case, they were supposed to give 6 mm thick sheet. They were making accurately 6 mm and packing it off. When I weighed the bundle, one packed roll, I found the weight was higher. I was surprised because I could calculate the specific gravity of the compound and multiply it with the width and length and height, and I saw it should be less. So I studied it. I found that because of the shrinkage, at the time of packing, the sheet was acquiring more thickness. Instead of 6 mm, it was 6.2 mm or some 6 point some. So they were losing about 5 to 6% of weight. So I told them to tighten the nip and reduce the thickness. They said, well, we cannot do it. The contract is that. I said, can you sign it? I will sign it. I'm the consultant. So they were shocked, but they saved that money.
Yeah.
So when I asked them to reopen the bales, the rolls, they found thickness was exactly 6 mm. So there were some small observations. They were very impressed, and they said, okay, you come and join us as advisor.
And you're still continuing the cooperation with them, the Blair?
No. I told you when I came back, and this thing, my wife got paralyzed, so I could not leave India.
Right.
So sorry, I could not go anywhere. I had to stick here. Otherwise, I had told her that we are migrating with my brothers are there. I will go there. We leave India. We were so unhappy here and so disgusted with the political system and the society here, and we were not tuned to that.
Understood.
I would never bribe. My biggest problem was I would not bribe. I will not give money to the politicians. Even the labor officer, even the salesman, sales tax people. So my chartered accountant would do it. He says, okay, you pay me the fee, I will manage it. So that was the things a businessman cannot do. You have to pay what you call convenience money. India, man, now it is very common. Everybody has to pay money to the politicians if you want to survive here.
Yeah. Well, I hope things get better in the near future. Yeah, so
they will never get better. Only level will change. Every politician needs money to buy people and survive. So only thing is, like in America, common man is not disturbed. So you take money at a higher level, a bigger level. There's much bigger deals are done. There are different ways of doing it. Like America will have, these functions. They will have a dinner, $1,000 a plate, dinner plate. So what is this? It's different ways of doing it. It will never go.
Yeah, we talk about that one some other time, So on that issue, that is a challenging issue. I think everybody's experiencing, for a very long, So you have done some projects with the Exide Batteries, right? You have done that. Can you talk a little more details about that? What was your experience?
Very interesting. In case of Exide Batteries, what happened? They were importing reclaim, and whatever reclaim we produced, or everybody, by the time 2 more plants had come, and we used to get blisters on the battery boxes. They were Eminent battery boxes, and nothing we could do. It's very simple, but we did not. You see, until you know the table, it's very difficult. 2 into 2 or 4, that's all right, but till you know. So ultimately, when you find a solution, it looks very easy. So Exide Batteries, they were British company at that time. Mr. Shepherd was the plant head, and another fellow was Britisher. They invited me there. They knew I was the only person who could possibly solve. I spent 1 week in their factory in this place, Shamganj or something in Calcutta. So I would go every morning. I looked at the entire process, everything. I couldn't find anything. There was one area where I was never allowed to go in. That was their molding area.
Okay.
One day, lunchtime, there was nobody there. So I was going back. I took a shortcut, not without any good and bad intentions, just by the way, through that area. I was shocked to see their temperature meter on the press, it was 200 degrees centigrade. You normally cure rubber at 140, 140, 150 degrees. So I immediately realized what was the problem. The volatile matter in our reclaim was causing the blisters. And so I came back and contacted Indian Oil, give me a process oil which has a boiling point about 250 degrees. So they gave me that oil. I put it in my reclaim and it worked very well. They were surprised. So it was a very simple solution, but we never knew. They were hiding it. It was their secret because they are curing it in few minutes,
Right.
hard battery boxes. So they have developed that technology of curing. First time I heard you can cure rubber at a 200 degrees centigrade.
Fantastic. So you find a way to give them the solution. Yeah. So
What I would say simply, my director, our Dr. Werner Hoffman, taught me two things. He said research is what? Research is research. He said everything is there.
wow.
Only you have to look for it. You have to find it.
Research.
Yeah, you have to research. And that is what you call research. And how to do it? He says first step is observe without prior knowledge. I said, how is it possible? He said, if you carry the burden of prior knowledge, you cannot observe. Your observation will be colored. So when you look at anything, look at it as it is and what it is. And he gave me an example. If you see a cow, I ask you what is her color, you can say it is brown, red, black or white. No, that's wrong. You say she is white from this side, I don't know the other side.
Okay.
So he says it's called observation. You observe thing as it is.
As it is. Yeah.
Without any prejudice. So you have a prejudice. If a cow is white from this side, white from that side also, that is your prior knowledge. So he says first thing is you have to observe without prior knowledge. Get rid of prior knowledge and observe thing as it is. So let it sink into you. Just see and let it get into you. Second thing is then you sit down and interpret it. And third thing he says, try to forecast on the basis of your interpretation. If you can forecast what can happen, then your research is complete. So this is a very simple method, he said. So all I did was in Exide Batteries, observe without prejudice. I didn't go around why it is 120 or 200 degrees is 200 degrees, right? It is as such. So I worked on that. I did not go and argue with them. I didn't tell them why you are doing this. Why should I question them? They would have been hurt. Why did I go inside? But I succeeded. So first thing is observation. If you cannot observe, you cannot do any research. Research is simply, it is there. Everything is there in the universe. You have to find it.
Research. That's well said. I think thanks to the one who told. Is it Dr. what? Dr. Werner?
Werner Hoffman. He was the man who wrote the great book on vulcanization. He is the world authority. आज भी है. Vulcanization के ऊपर he was the authority and very well known rubber scientist.
Dr. Werner Hoffman.
In Bayer, at that time, Bayer was the greatest people to make rubber chemicals.
Yeah. I think he put very simple words to explain how to do the research and make it. I think it's. I think that all the scientists should listen to this conversation. Then start doing things differently now. Okay.
Yeah, that's what he said. Everything is there in this universe. You have to only look for it, and it is a fact. Nothing new we create. We only locate it.
Yeah. Okay, I want to touch. You also have an experience as not just a technical guy, solving problems, but also you've been a chairman of the rubber section for the CapEx, right? Chemical and Allied Products Export Promotion Council.
That's right.
Yeah. So, so tell us. I think the object of the CapEx is more of promoting exports of India to the global market. Yeah. So for you are taking care of the. So what was your experience at the time?
I became chairman inadvertently because all the small scale industries supported me, and their vote number was much larger than big companies.
Okay.
So I became, it was a very funny thing. I went to the Ashoka Hotel, there was a meeting going on, and just imagine, I was so young and I looked younger. When I entered the hall, first of all, they looked at me, who are you? So I was very nervous and I said, look, and the chair at the end of the table was vacant. The chairman
Okay.
was to come and they were waiting for him. I very meekly said, I am Arun Kapoor, I am supposed to attend this meeting. So they were quite shocked because they were all very elderly people from industry,
Yeah.
much bigger than much elder. So I went and sat there. So what I found was it was totally dominated by big people, and every year award used to go to the big people because largest exporter would get award. So
Yeah.
younger people said we can never get a export award because we are small. So I made a rule that export award will go to a person on the basis of percentage growth, not on the basis of quantum.
Right.
Supposing an industry has grown 3% and a small man has done 20% growth, he should get the award. That was accepted. And then small people started getting awards. Otherwise, they were for years never getting an award. But after 1 year, I left it because it was expensive for me to travel because you are not paid at that time. So I had to attend all the meetings in Calcutta, Madras, Chennai, and Bombay, and all air fare and hotel fare. I had to pay myself. So for big people, it was honor, and they used to fight and spend money, and they used to have spend a lot of booze and all that to get. So I would not do that, but I would have got the votes because of my strength with the small people. But I left.
Yeah, I think is what you did is good for them because in small and medium scale, so it get inspire them to motivation. You
Yes.
can stand
So
if you
they
can
were very
stand aside a
happy.
big company and they also see the hey, this is a recognition is there and it means they are doing the right thing in the right direction. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. Then we also induced that for foreign delegations, the smaller people should also be included
mm,
because there was support from government,
mm,
compensation was there. So that was also done. So a lot
mm,
of people from small industry could go abroad on
yeah,
delegations.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, good thing, good thing. And you are also, involved in the developing the standards for the rubber rollers, right?
Yeah,
The,
because I was a pioneer, I was created it, so government invited me. So we set the standards, BIS standards at that time.
are you still involved in that or not anymore?
No. I was involved in this recycling recently. They called me, but I am
Yeah,
not member of that committee.
yeah, yeah.
Just because they consulted me as an expert, but not being member of the committee otherwise.
And you mentioned, I mean, I've seen your profile and you worked with Mr. Jim Coker of Goodyear. Yeah.
Yes,
In terms of
I
the,
was. It so happened that Goodyear was having a lot of rejections in their Ballogad plant in Delhi and near Delhi. Goodyear has a system like all big companies. They compare the rejects and wastages and power consumption and this and that in the various plants on per tire basis or per ton basis. They found the compound wastage was highest in this plant here. And the explanation given to them was they were near the desert area, Rajasthan. There was a lot of dust coming in and was creating bad foul. So they raised walls and did everything. Then Jim Coker was specially sent from USA to look into this. He couldn't find anything. So then I was recommended because I was specialist on recycling wastage claim. So I worked with them. I went to Goodyear and went through all their systems. And to my shock, there was nothing wrong. So I didn't know why there were rejection. So ultimately, very sorry to say that I found out one truck was being loaded with rejected waste. I had just tested and found that compound was okay. So I told them to unload and retest it and found it was okay. So there were three guys, one in lab, one in stores, and one in other department, who were hand in glove, and they were deliberately rejecting the compound and selling it outside.
Oh.
There was scrap dealer taking it outside. So I caught them, and then that was not a technological thing, but I worked with them, tried to help them, but they were very up to date with technology. There was nothing I could help them that way. There was something totally different. And they had to teach to people.
There's a problem with the people.
Yeah. Corruption, greed.
Yeah. Money. Yeah. So
It's very, but anyway, this is the way the world is, Saman.
Yeah. Okay, let's now we talk about your current activity. I think you're actively involved with the Tina rubber and infrastructure. They're, I think, pioneers in the rubber reclaim and also various recycled rubber products. So before get into there, what kind of products they are in, can you talk about your experience at the Tina rubber? Yeah.
Yes. 1 second. Now, Tina rubber, they contacted me in about 20 years ago, and the owners, Mr. Sikri, he had lots of money, and they had also divided family, and he in the division he all got was money and property, no industry. All industry was taken by his brothers, so he was looking for something to do. So he came to me, and he said he knew Minister of Roads, Mr. Titler at that time, that in the international level there is rubberizing of roads going on. In India, we have no idea. So he came to me. I said, yes, I know about it from University of Toronto in Canada. They had published one study about this thing, and I had that copy of that, and I had done some work. That is how I got in touch with Tina, and they started this rubberizing of roads. Initially, they did it with my formula, and since they had come through my brother and relationship, so I did not ask for any money. But they were kind enough. They said, all right, you supply us the raw material and you charge your profit there, because I was trading at that time. So we did it for some time, and then they went to USA and found better products and carried on. And the problem was that they had to buy rubber crumb from the market. They had no plants as such, and they were buying from various people. And as the demand grew, they found it very difficult to get right stuff. People started blending, bad materials. Like they won't give them tire crumb, they would give them flap or other molded items. So ultimately decided to put up his own grinding. That is again came to me, and I joined them, kind of thing. We went to China, bought the plants, I advised them, and we put up the grinding plants. So at the peak of his business, suddenly his business stopped. Again he called me. He says, Mr. Kapoor, I am stuck. I have created a capacity of crushing 5,000 tons of tires every month, and I have no orders. So what happened? The government changed, and the politicians realized that this was a bad business. They used to get roads repaired twice a year or once a year. With every rainfall, road would break, and contracts would go to their cronies and their supporters, and they started crying that the roads, rubberized roads, don't break. And the life is 10 years, 8 years, 9 years, or more, depending on climate. So we are out of business. So they just stopped it. They stopped making roads with this. So he went out of business. So he came to me. He said, Kapoor Saab, what are you doing? He said, doing this, that. So how much you are earning, vagara, vagara. I said, don't worry, I will cover it up. You come full time. He said, what will I do? He said, you please get me out of this shit. So, all right. Then I told him, only way is to do something innovative, something new. And you can only do where these politicians are not involved. So I told them to go for Microfine crumb, which was developed in USA, and Michelin was doing it. The problem was that Michelin had the patent. They were doing it cryogyning, and we could not do it. So I said, don't worry, we'll do it differently. So again,
I think you have prepared the presentation. Maybe let me stop you here. You have made a presentation. I think this is connecting for that point. Is it right?
No, not exactly. This is something we don't talk about normally.
Okay, fine.
About technology, how we did it. But since you asked me as usual without realizing what I'm saying, I went into that. Anyway, cut short, I developed a technology which was ambient grinding, and we are the pioneers and we're holding a monopoly till today. That is how Tina grew with that, and all tire companies in India and abroad are going day by day, and we are every day increasing our capacity. And that Microfine crumb is doing extremely well. It's a well-established raw material now, and our growth is going on, and our process is unique, and still people have not caught on to that. We
And
have no patent.
how many types of products you have developed under the Tina rubber?
We started, with from 30 mesh, we went to 40 mesh first, 40 to 60, 60 to 80 mesh. No, 80 mesh was the one which combines with tire and gives it strength. Then from there on, we went to 120 mesh, and today we are making 140 mesh crumb, which is absolutely unbelievable. You can do that without freezing it.
And in terms of application side, how the market improved for the Tina rubber.
Yes, of course. This is all tire companies are now going for it. They are, every day, every month, production is going up, consumption is going up. We are having international market. Everybody is in. We got all tire companies in India, you name it, Sri Lanka, and now international level, Pirelli, Yokohama, and now Bridgestone is coming in. Even Michelin is interested, although they are the biggest producers themselves. What Michelin did was, when this product was developed, they found the use, they bought the entire production, world capacity, under their wing, so that they had the monopoly. And for 10 years, they hid it under a different name, and nobody knew. We knew, of course, I knew right from the beginning what they were doing. But generally, industry and the consumer and the tire users did not know. Because once they know you are using recycled material, there is a psychological barrier, tire is bad. After 10 years, they announced to the world, we are making for last 10 years, we made 500 million tires and there is no complaint. So now, because of global warming and all these issues, everybody is gunning for it.
Yeah.
And we are way ahead of Michelin now in technology.
I think that things have changed a lot, very fast last few years in terms of the recycled material use in the, almost all the products. Yeah.
So now you can bring that presentation that talks about.
Yeah. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah.
So this is my slogan. Need is mother of everything. That is what happened with me all my life. I had a need, so I found the answers. You see, in this today's world, we need to replace petroleum-based oils or fossil-based oils and have sustainable economy. And all efforts are being made. One raw material is available, which was there always in abundance, but was not visible, was waste tires. Waste tires are not only environmental hazard and a nuisance, and they breed mosquitoes. There are a lot of problems. They can't be burnt, they can't be put in sea, they can't be put in the land. It has an endless life. For 50 years, tires will remain there and nothing can happen. So, other side of the story is, if this can be converted into a starting raw material, it's a wonderful base. Next point is, this is abundantly available. Every year, growth is going on, and more tires are being wasted. End of the life tires are coming. So we have a perennial source of raw material. The question is how to put it into use. So that is where the technology and research comes in. And as I said, need is mother of everything. So this need has risen today to find more stable, sustainable, and non-petroleum based raw materials. Next slide. Recycling waste tires. Now, this is the most suitable solutions, provided we can make right products out of the waste tires. And if we reuse it in tire, let us say we replace 10% of compound or 20% of compound, it's a tremendous saving because it saves carbon, it saves synthetic rubber, and it saves petroleum oils, which are all cause of uh, carbon generation. This CO2 generation is all caused by these petroleum-based products. So if that can be replaced, and the issue is like this, very simple. Let's go to the next slide. Well, this is a general statement one need identified. So in case of recycling waste tires, a process was developed 100 years ago, making reclaim by oxidation or reversion. Now, the physical properties of tires compound drop drastically because of cutting of carbon to carbon chains by oxidation. As molecular weight of polymer falls, all physical properties fall. It's very simple. So natural rubber has a molecular weight of something like 9 lakh, and when you cut the carbon to carbon chain, it falls very low. And tensile strength of a thread compound is about 28 MPa, whereas reclaim is about 4 MPa. So it's no use. You can't use it back in tire. You can use it in mats. You can use in other things. So this cannot be recycled as such. But it is going on for last 100 years, and there is a limited use for this process. Next, next slide, please. So we have to find out a way to get higher strength, high tensile. So difference between reclaiming and devulcanization, this has to be understood. People confuse the issue reclaiming and devulcanization. They are two different things. Reclaiming is simply oxidation, cutting off carbon to carbon chains, reducing the molecular weight, and thus losing all the properties. Devulcanization is reverse of vulcanization. Vulcanization is cross-linking done by sulfur, and devulcanization is to decross-link. That means to break the sulfur cross-linking without damaging the carbon to carbon chain. So this has not been successful in last 80 years. People are working, although some in China has a university in Qingdao University. Some very interesting information here that world West nobody makes reclaim. Europe, America, only Europe may one or two plants. China produces largest quantities. India second largest. India makes about 2.5 lakh tons of reclaim in a year, and China makes 60 lakh tons. So that is something amazing how and where they use it. It started like this. When China started building industry, they had no natural rubber, they had no synthetic rubber, but there are a lot of waste tires. So they put up scientists in Qingdao University to work on this. So they worked and found a way to break the sulfur chain cross-linking. With the result, they could obtain tensile strength of 13 to 15 MPa against 4 or 5 MPa. I worked in those factories in China myself, and I worked and saw that process. The problem is, once they break the sulfur, sulfur still is in the compound itself, but it is in nascent and very active form. And on storage, it starts recombining with the rubber and revulcanizing it on its own because it is there in an active form. You know, there's a difference between a molecular structure and atomic structure. The atomic structures are very, very active. They can't stay. Like we say O2, we never say O because unless two combine together, they're not stable. Similarly, sulfur, when nascent form, freshly generated, is very active. It will react even at room temperature. So it cross links again, and with the result, in a short period of time, the plasticized rubber regains elasticity and becomes useless. So it cannot be transported. So how China is using it? What they were doing was the day they produce reclaimed rubber, they immediately pack it, strap it, and put in a truck and goes to the rubber factory. They immediately compound it before it gets hardened again and make tires. And I saw certain motorcycle tires being made from 100% reclaim without any rubber, because this was already having 13 to 15 MPa strength. So that was their strength. That is how they could use such huge quantities of reclaim and make it very cheap. And in the world, people could not understand how they can make it so low cost rubber products. But the problem is this cannot be transported. We imported a few containers. By the time it came to India, the money went up to 200. It was useless. You cannot mix it. It becomes vulcanized again. So it can only be used immediately after production, and that can only be done when you are next to a rubber plant, a reclaim plant. But then I worked on this, and we have found out now. My latest research, which is going on, which is not yet published or presented, is how to prevent sulfur from getting back into the rubber when it is broken, when crosslinks is broken. So we have got reasonable success, and we are waiting for a little more time to get into that. So here today the world is waiting for high tensile reclaim. All the reclaim made here in India is 4 to 6 MPa. In some cases, they are making up to 7 MPa by doing some blending, some reinforcing materials, but that is not technology that even rubber compounder can do. So what is needed is devulcanization and not reclaiming. That is the next future product which will be coming very soon in the market. Next slide. Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, micronized rubber. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, then micronized rubber powder was this group of scientists led by Michelin, Continental, and Ford Motor, after 10 years of research, found that traditional reclamation by oxidation was not going to work for the same reasons as mentioned before. So they found when waste tire was micronized to 80 mesh and above, it could be bonded into new compound up to 13 PHR without loss of properties. So this was a very great discovery, and it was so important that Michelin monopolized it, and they bought the entire capacity, they got it patented, and they became the solely owner of this technology in the world. And other tire companies were deprived of its use. So that is how Tina Rubber came into this business. We developed an alternate technology of making 80 mesh crumb, and we are growing every day on that aspect. Okay, next, polydiene. This was the name given Michelin, realizing the value, started using it along with 6 other global companies. However, to keep it a secret, they gave it a different name, polydiene. They kept it a secret for 10 years. Now, in 2012, Michelin bought Lehigh Technologies, and other tire companies stopped getting the material. That was, this is a typical business tactics. Michelin wanted all the advantage because saving was so huge. It was in millions and millions of dollars. Replacing a tire compound today, which is costing about 140 rupees a kg, replacing with a product of 90 rupees a kg, you save how much money? And you replace 13 PHR, that means practically 6.5% of compound is replaced, and they make thousands and thousands of tons of compound. So that is the advantage. And so we have gone beyond that. Now we have gone up to 140 mesh. It can be used up to 20 PHR, which is a very big saving. It helps in global other recycling. Now, other possibilities where I am working now on, time has come to find new technologies, some other ways to recycle the valuable raw material. Now I consider waste tire as a raw material, newfound raw material. It has many possibilities. One company in America is making about 13 lakh tons of crumb every year, but not a single kg goes into either reclaim or in microfine crumb. They have found other uses. Another big use is making pyrolysis oil, which is used as fuel. 40% of tires in USA are going into fuel. Then these cement factories are using it, and steel factories are using it for carbonizing steel. There are various ways are being used. Waste tire has now become a basic raw material. Luckily, it is still abundantly available, and it will remain so because every year the production of waste tires is going up. We need to use more methods to use it. So, as I said, further improvement in use of microfine rubber powder and way to increase the dosage to 30 PHR. So I am working on that. I have got preliminary success in laboratory scale, and it will put in the market very shortly.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Arun Kapoor, giving insights on this. Okay, maybe I want to elaborate a little further on this issue. In India now, there are so many recycling companies, particularly producing the reclaim and also various recycle rubber products. So I think I heard there is an association also recently formed, right? There's an association of the rubber recycle and the tire association. There is some association. Yeah.
Association all over. The association in Europe, there is association in India, Reclaim Manufacturers Association, and Europe, the Recyclers Association. Yes, you are right.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about the structure of rubber recycle industry in India?
As I told you, they are still very primitive. They are using 100 years old technology of just oxidation, and that is why they are not growing. And in fact, there were 80 factories which are reduced to 40 factories now in India. 40 have closed. Because they know biggest user of rubber is tire. Tire consumes 75% of the polymer. And tires cannot use reclaim rubber. Reclaim rubber has a tensile strength of 4 to 7 MPa, where the strength of tire is minimum 20 to 28 MPa. So, for example, tread has 28, sidewall has a 20, and your what you call inner liner has about 16 MPa. So minimum is 16 MPa. Below that, they cannot touch it. So only place they use rubber is about 2 to 2.5 PHR is in the friction compound, just to give it little tack and to flowability. Otherwise, this has no use. So all these reclaim manufacturers, they cannot grow because no tire company will touch that material. It goes only mats and into cheap items. So they have got to find a solution to do de-vulcanization and not reclamation, which nobody has that technology. We are developing that technology and we are very close to breakthrough. And I have to work is going on. We have got some success. We have got crossed 10 MPa. We got on to 12 MPa. And the problem is, even in China, we go to 14 MPa. It is useless. You can't transport it. You can't sell it to others. And so I have to stabilize it. My work is such today that at 10 MPa, I can give a stable product. It can be stored for 3 to 6 months. So I'm working on it to 12 MPa and more. And when that technology comes, then people would like to lap it up. Everybody will like to go for that. And the whole shape of rubber in reclaim industry will change completely. They will all shift to that slowly and slowly, either by stealing technology or by buying technology. In India, stealing is more popular.
Not all. Okay, there are innovators like you are there. So yeah, so
we have to keep ahead of them, and we have to. You see, here the problem is the patent doesn't protect you. In America, you can patent it and you are safe. But India, you can't protect yourself. And it's not only that. Your own employees, they will go out and sell the technology. And it's very difficult to file cases against them and go to and implement. Indian law cases take years. I give you one simple example. Everybody heard the name of Charles Goodyear. You go through his history. He was a man who vulcanization theory was patented by him. He had a number of patents, but he never made any money. All his life he was fighting in the courts because people were stealing his patent. And he could never do anything. And the Goodyear company was not found by him. After his death, some people in reverence, like, oh, Mr. Kapoor did a good job, let us make a company named Kapoor Reclaimators. So in his name, they created a company called Goodyear, our company. Charles Goodyear never made that company. So that is the problem. So now the new philosophy is don't patent it. Keep it a secret. I'll give you 2-3 examples. Coca-Cola. They have got a safe somewhere where the formula is kept. Only 2 employees of the company have access to that. They are never allowed to travel in same car or same plane, so that in case of accident both perish. And for 140, 50 years they have kept that formula secret. Similarly, now I am of the opinion not to patent. So that is how we have survived. We are making this microfine crumb with the ambient grinding. We have not patented it. And so long as we can keep it a secret, we are ahead of others. But how long? Somebody one day will leak it. Our own man. He will be bought over. We are waiting for that. So only answer is to keep moving, keep doing better and better. So people have started making 80 mesh already. We have competition. We move over to 120 mesh. Nobody has come up so far. And now we have gone ahead to 140 mesh. And we are waiting. If somebody comes up, we'll move further ahead. And secondly, we have found another technology where more percentage can be used, more PHR can be used. So far, people are using 5 to 10 PHR. But I have successfully developed an area where we can use 20 to 30 PHR. We have not launched it yet. We are waiting for our competition to come up, then we put up the next step. We have to keep ahead of others. We keep developing, but we are not launching. We are waiting for people to catch up.
Good way, good way. So we talked a lot number of issues about all your experience over the years, from beginning to the current situation. I want to kind of summarize a part of it. If you look back 56 years plus in the rubber industry, if you want to pinpoint, this is my major achievement, can you give a couple of major achievements that you think, yeah, I'm really proud about these achievements? What are those?
Now, my achievements are in 2 fields. One is in our technology, which I have just talked about, and second is survival. Under very great adverse circumstances, where every day when you face those situations, you like to commit suicide and get rid of it. But then you have a wife who's helpless, who's paralyzed, who has small children. So when you think of them, so you say, no, I have to live, I have to survive. So that is one part of the story. So I don't know which any use to anybody. Everybody has his own life. But if you stick to the technology portion, as I told you, that there is endless opportunity. You have to keep looking, first identify the need, and then go ahead, find solutions. And the method I have told you already what I learned. Look at things without any color, without your prejudice. I give you one example. When a child is born, he is without any conditioning. And when he grows in the family, he is taught that he is a Muslim, he is a Hindu, he is a Christian, he is Sai, and those values are imbibed in him. So when he grows up, a Muslim will not eat beef, Hindu will not eat cow, mass, and similarly Jainis, Kattar Jainis will not eat after sunset. Now, question is it the truth? Now, what is the definite truth? In scientific values, truth is which is universal. It doesn't change. Now, if it doesn't change, it is the truth. But if a whole world is eating beef and Muslims don't eat beef, it is not truth. It's not possible. Same applies on this uh, pork and not eating after sunset. So when, water will boil at 100 degrees at sea level wherever you go in the world. That is the truth. Sun will rise in the east. It is the truth, whichever religion you are. So first thing we have to realize is the conditioning. We have to get rid of the conditioning. Only then we can see the truth. So when you do scientific work, that's what I learned. You have to make your mind blank and not to see the thing with your prejudice or with your training, with your education, with your bringing up, with your past knowledge. You have to see it as it is. It is difficult. I'm telling you. It sounds simple, but it is very difficult because the moment you look, your whole psyche and background and your psychology comes into play. It doesn't let you see what it is. So first thing you have to learn is to get rid of those things and see things as it is. The moment you start seeing things as they are, so you have won the game. And next comes is to understand it, observe it, see its behavior, again without any past prejudices. If we say it should be like that, another thing I will tell you, belief. Beliefs are the biggest enemy of scientists. Whenever you say I believe, that means you do not know. If I look at you, I say you are Param, I will not say I believe you are Param. I say you are Param. That is the difference. Similarly, whenever I say I believe, that means I do not know. We have to get rid of our beliefs to get into the scientific truth.
Wow, today's a lot of eye-opening statements and eye-opening experiences for us to learn from you, Mr. Arun Kapoor Saab. It's really pleasure to have you in this program and learn about all your journey, all the experiences, and such inspiring. And it's integrity. Not okay. Rubber side is one thing, but the one highlight about is about use integrity and how you stood your feet in the ground and manage all the hurdles over the years. So fantastic journey, sir. It's a pleasure to have you. May I ask you one thing other than the rubber? What else do you do? Do you have any hobbies other than the rubber industry?
Reading
I was
is
drink
my
some
only
water first.
reading is my only companion.
Okay.
I lost my wife how many 20 years ago, and my only son, he migrated to USA. He's also followed the steps of his grandfather and me. He's a rubber technologist and he's doing well, and he's helping me in new innovations. Already we are applied for 3 patents because in America patents are important. I don't
Yeah.
believe in patents. As I told you, they are stolen. And in India, I don't do it, but he insists, so he's doing it. And we are working on some. So my hobby is to keep on creating, keep on creating, keep on creating, keep on knowing, keep on learning, keep on knowing, learning. I give you one small example. My grandfather, he was at that time around 84, 85 years of age. We were in Dalhousie in a hill station. There was a school, and we came to know that great mathematicians has come to the school to speak to the students. So he was invited. He took me along with him. He heard this speech and he taught us how to multiply number of numbers in one line. Let us say we have got 100,000 or some, what, 200,000 or 1 million numbers in one line, and same number niche. In one line, how could you multiply it?
Yeah.
It was, he taught us the method, and it was a great learning. He was a great mathematician. Of course, today I can't redo it. I have lost that track. I came back home. My grandfather called me. He says, Arun, please explain to me. I have not clearly understood it. So I said, grandfather, what will you do by learning this? He said, no, I want to know this. So that curiosity and spirit of learning is such that keeps you going. And I think that was the secret of longevity in our family also. We all lived. My mother lived 100. My all grandparents lived in most sides about 95, 94, because they always remained curious. They always kept learning. They never said that life has come to an end. Now I'm old, so they no more learning. So that is a dead end. So that is my hobby, to keep on learning. I don't mind learning any subject, anywhere, anything. If something new is there, so I'm curious to know, I would like to learn. Even I'm fond of classical music, and some people were explaining how the our ancient Vedas produced music, and he was explaining various ragas and suras. I was listening to them, and I was enjoying that learning. So you have, if so long as your mind remains active, you remain young. You don't grow old.
Yes, well said. Well said.
One should never put an end to learning.
Yeah, I'm going to change some of my practices from today onwards. Thank you very much. I know because you are the first person I know that you born in Pakistan, and so you still have relatives in Pakistan. Anybody, family
No,
member? No money. All are moved to India.
everybody had to leave. If anybody was left, he was massacred. But luckily, we all escaped. There was no chance. I will give you a very sad story. We were in Amritsar, next town after Pakistan, and my grandfather had a very big house there, and the people, refugees, were coming in truckloads, and we were putting them in the tents the government had provided. So one night they could stay, and the next morning the army trucks would take them further. So first thing, we would give them blankets and food and all, and they have bath and all. And then a train was coming from Pakistan, Lahore, to so the whole city got together, and all the ladies cooked food, and we young boys, we went to the station. The train came, but nobody came out of the train. When you opened the doors, we found nothing but blood. Every person in the train was cut and massacred. Everybody. Whole train was full of blood, and the young girls had been taken away for the purpose. And the whole town, the blood boiled. And what happened? All the young boys secretly made it group. They will teach them a lesson. When the train was going to Pakistan from India, all these boys convoyed at the train with whatever they had, with knives and things, and killed everybody. This happened. I saw these things. I was not. I was very young. I was not allowed to go. I also had a small kitchen knife. I wanted to go. That was a spirit. Blood was boiling, and after that, every train came safe. Nobody was killed. Well, when they found the same thing happened with them, these are horrible things. We don't publish them, don't write them. But as you mentioned, this happened. And there was no way anybody was left who could survive unless you were under army protection. Only army trucks would bring them. Otherwise, everybody was, girls were raped. And lot of people in villages, they made their young girls commit suicide because they were not safe. And they were made to jump in the well, young girls, anything above the age of 13 or so, because they could not take them along with them. On the way, they will be kidnapped and raped. And it was very common. This has happened, history. And do you know, after partition, you never hear these stories. All these people, refugees, they put the past back and they started struggling, starting surviving, and they did everything, carrying load on their head, like coolies, or cooking, or cleaning vessels, or anything what they could get there to survive. They were on the roadside. And now those people have grown. They have grown really big. Now Hero Honda, they were migrants. People like that. A lot of people who made very big in India, like Apollo Tires, they were migrants from Lahore only. Mr. Kanwar's father, he knew my father. We had good relations. They were also in Lahore. They also came. Similarly, Atlas Tire, Atlas Cycle, and all. They all came, and they made big with a lot of hard work. They sacrificed everything. and they rebuild themselves.
Wow. Oh, I don't know. I have no words to say how to express how the things we're gonna hear
Yes,
this one.
it happened before us. We saw that. We saw the looting. We saw them, and that train incidents. How many people know about it?
Yeah. Okay, Arun Saab, before I wanted to, I personally I feel very, it's pretty emotional right now in my mind. Okay, I was supposed to talk about the rubber industry, but I felt,
You're talking
sad,
about life.
very sad. Yeah, talking about life. Yeah, it's a sad, and I'm happy to know that all the people came out from that tragic situation, doing very well now. Hardships and all great stories like what you mentioned about Apollo or Class or the hero Honda. All these people is role models for many of the younger generation in India and beyond. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing this. Your personal journey and also the professional journey, and I mean, I don't know, I want to say that it's very inspiring, and I'm going to change something about myself, how to be young up to hopefully
Yeah.
yeah, more younger by being innovative, being curious. The word curious is the right, yeah.
So long, yes, correct. So long as you are curious and you want to know, you learn, you will remain
Yes.
young.
Fantastic. Before I end this, session today, can you give us a final message to the audience, with the focus on younger people, okay, in the rubber industry, of course, beyond rubber industry as well. I know you already talked about many things already. Kind of summarize it in a couple of statements that hey, this is a message you should implement immediately or take into consideration to make changes with your work life or with your current work in rubber industry on the beyond. Yeah.
Okay, I will put it this way. Summary of my life experiences. First thing we should do is to get rid of our burden of what you call conditioning. We are all conditioned, and we have to first get rid of that. Second thing is we must know what is truth. Truth is which is same everywhere, which will not change. If you find any belief, anything taught to you is different in different places, it is not true. It must remain the same. Water must boil at 100 degrees at sea level. Same example I gave you about beef and pork and those things. Those are very strong beliefs. And so you have to get rid of beliefs. Beliefs are not truth. These are conditioning. So my first message is somehow learn your conditioning and get out of conditioning. Second is know what is truth, stay with truth. Third is keep on learning, keep on knowing, keep on learning, keep on knowing. And last, of course, I can say research is research. It is right there in the universe. Everything is there. Everything is there, whether microbes, whether atomic energy. Like you see, when Einstein found out E is equal to mc square, and so he found out that energy can be converted into matter. So that changed the whole thing. That changed everything. That showed that from energy you could produce matter, hard matter. So how he did it? How many people know that he never had a laboratory? Einstein never worked in a laboratory. He just perceived it like our rishis did directly from the universe. You get to the subconscious mind, superconscious mind. So last message is please know that we are all connected with each other through vibrations and through super consciousness, and we can communicate to each other if you develop our mental level to that level without any this telephone, we can communicate. These things are there. Why did we get to that level? So one should keep on growing, keep on developing, and keep on searching into the vast universe. Everything is there. You have to just get it.
Yeah. Kapoor sir, thank you very much. Okay, from my bottom of my heart, this is a wonderful conversation, and my sincere thanks to you for being part of the today's session. So, guys, that's the conversation with Mr. Arun Kapoor, well-respected, eminent rubber industry professional. I think from this session, you do make some changes, the way you live, the way you do your work. Okay, and if you can see, he's a 56 plus years in the rubber industry, and he has seen all kinds of things, very hardships or success of when his product innovation things. This is one of my wonderful sessions I ever have hosted. I'm really glad that I had time to, meeting a chance to meet Mr. Arun Kapoor sir for being part of this Rubber Industry Connect. I'm sure that you'll find this session useful to you. Thank you all for being part of this, listening to this program with Mr. Arun Kapoor. If you're around, visiting India or around, please do say hello and get to know him more. I think with one now, with 1.5 hours or close to 2 hours of session, I think I can see myself a lot of change in me. What else I can make better, myself better. So thank you guys for being part of this session today. Thank you.